Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session. I'm Eugenio, as Era just presented myself. I'm the production support manager at iFood, and today I'll be sharing with you how we support and maintain the production environment at iFood. So this is a quick introduction about myself. This was before the New York trip, so nowadays I have 10 kilos more. I used to work as a developer, and then I migrated my career to IT support, so it's been 13 years working with IT support. I worked for a consultancy company in Brazil, and then I moved to iFood in 2021. I assumed the production support team and also the observability team. That was a team that we created to handle all the monitoring and observability tools that we had internally. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to exchange experience, to be connected, to learn more about what you guys are doing on your companies as well. My main experiences are basically with monitoring, observability, ITSM, and ITIL. So anything I can help you guys with, just let me know. Today we're going to talk about how we were able to reduce our incident resolution time in 75%, just adjusting the tools and the process that we have internally. We had an average of 95 minutes for all the critical incidents when we are talking about resolution time, and we were able to get that down to 25. And I'm going to show you how we did it. Before we jump into how we did it, let's talk about iFood. So iFood is the biggest food delivery company in Brazil. We are responsible for 0.5% of Brazil's GDP. So every single financial transaction that happens in Brazil, we are responsible for 0.5% of that. But we do not do only food delivery. We have other markets, we have other products and other services. So we have groceries delivery as well. You can order directly from your preferred supermarket. We have logistics as a service, so you can hire iFood to deliver your products, no matter what kind of business you have. So if you have a grocery store, if you have a restaurant, if you have any kind of gift store, you can use iFood logistics service to deliver that as well. And recently launched, back in June 20th, we have iFood Pago, which is our bank. So now iFood is also a bank in Brazil, and we support all of our restaurants and all of the stores that we have partnership with in Brazil. I'm going to play a video that shows you what iFood is. Please apologize, the song is in Portuguese. Some of you guys are going to understand that, some not. But the idea of it is to show you that iFood is for everyone in Brazil, no matter if you are a rich person, no matter if you are a humid person. So I'm going to play the video so you know more about the company. Will that gonna play? Yeah.
Pede iFood já. Eu estudando pro vestibular, ou na TV pra maratonar. Se a geladeira não tem nada lá, que vontade dá. Pede iFood já, pede iFood já. iFood.
So this is what iFood is, and pede iFood já means order iFood now. In Brazil, it became so common that people do not say, I'm going to order a delivery or I'm going to ask for a takeout. They say, I'm going to order iFood. If they are not ordering through the app, they say, I'm going to ask for an iFood, I'm going to order iFood. So this is just a little short video to show that we connect with every single person in Brazil. These are some pictures. So we have pictures from our headquarters in Brazil. It's near Sao Paulo in a city called Osasco. So now I can say from Osasco to the world, we are talking about iFood. We have some concerts, we have some corporate events inside the company as well. And on the rooftop of our building, we have a great food delivery for the city itself. So we have lettuce, tomato, and now the other kind of vegetables that we plant to support all the municipal schools in Brazil. So on the city that we offer 1,000 kilos of food every month. And that's on the rooftop of the building, so you can get a nice view of the city as well. Now, talking about what we are doing with the environment itself, we are an environment-friendly company, so we have two clean delivery models. First one is the electric motorcycle. So we offered that possibility for the partner drivers. They can purchase those motorcycles at a low price with low interest rates, and they can have unlimited battery reload. So they just pick up a fully loaded battery from different pickup points across Brazilian territory, and they can just use that with no charge. And the other one is called ADA, which stands for Autonomous Delivery, and that means basically for corporate buildings or for residential buildings, they can deliver and they can even call the elevator. So this is the one that we have in our office. By the time it gets to the elevator door, it triggers a call to an API that opens up the elevator, and she does the delivery for us. It's an event whenever we go to the office. People keep asking for a coffee just to see Ada, driving around the office. So that's funny. Talking about the size itself, we are a 5,500 employee company, which we lovely call them food lovers. Just in technology, we have 2,200 people working directly with technology. So although our main business is related to food delivery, groceries delivery, and other stuff, we are considered a technology company. We have more than 300,000 stores that partner with us, so markets, restaurants, grocery stores, and any other models. Nowadays, we also partner with drugstores, so you can order medicine online. We have more than 250,000 drivers that works every day during deliveries for iFood. And we reached an impressive market share of 80 million orders per month. If you consider that Brazil has almost 200 million people living in there, it's almost half of the country ordering iFood every day. These are some of the numbers that we have on the IT service management perspective. So we are talking about 28,000 tickets a month. We do have a team that works 24/7 to support and maintain all that structure running on production. That team size is about 42 support engineers, and we have more than 3,500 microservices running into production. I think that number increased last week, and it was like almost 3.7 thousand services. So we created a lot of microservices every single week. We try to do our architecture as segregated as possible to make sure that we are able to tackle incidents or improve the product in a fast pace. Now I'm gonna talk about incident management, and remember the picture you saw about myself like a week ago? Now you're gonna see myself about 1 year ago when we had those chaos situation with the incidents. So I was the dog like just watching the room to burn into fire and saying, this is fine. This was definitely not fine, so that's why we decided to change everything, to change the way we work with incidents. The first reason why everything was burning into fire was that we do not have an incident management tool. So the issue was that we were using Slack to track all of the incidents that happen at iFood. We were not able to track SLAs. We were not able to engage the teams on a paceful way. So we were just sending Slack messages and hoping for everybody to read Slack messages throughout the night, which is not the perfect situation. We had a great silo between the operations team and the development teams running on production. So the development teams were running Jira software to control their tasks while we were running Slack. There was no connection between both. So we had no visibility about the backlog. We had no visibility about the features evolution, and that needed to change as well. And the third one was about reliability. So we had no observability. We were talking just about a set of almost 10 different monitoring tools, all disconnected and not providing good information for us. So post-mortem process was a chaos, incident management was a chaos, and I'm gonna show you a timeline. Before jumping into the timeline, this was an example of a real incident that we had like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. We used to have extensive threads, so you can see that this single thread had more than 100 responses. So it was really hard to keep track of what was going on that incident, who was interacting with it. We also had the lack of engagement because I was mentioning users, During the day, it was fine. They were with their Slack open on the computer or on the cell phone, and they were responding fine to that. But what about nights? What about weekends? People were not monitoring like Slack on a, like, let's say, live time. So the engagement was a problem. And the last one was about metrics. In the Slack, you're not able to get SLAs, you're not able to get resolution details, you're not able to group service name or whatever the taxonomy you use. So we were in a bad situation. More than that, this shows you what I just explained about the response times and the resolution times of incidents. You can see that the blue bar was actually weekdays. So this was working fine. We had, let's say, fast responses, and these are in minutes, okay? So usually it was like 8 minutes to get a response during a weekday and during business hours, which is good. Now, when we were talking about weekends, usually it took like half hour to get an answer. And I showed you guys, we are selling 8 million orders a month. So you can imagine that like 5 minutes with an incident running on production can mean thousands and thousands of orders lost. And why is that an issue? You guys know that usually when you order food, if the food does not arrive, you get hungry and you get anger. So that's the kind of pressure we deal with when we are talking about incidents at iFood. And the resolution time was even worse. So we were talking about almost 200 minutes for the incidents to be resolved. And that means 200 minutes of people not having their food delivery and not being able to have dinner or to have lunch or whatever. This was a real-time incident that we had. So remember the first thread I showed with like more than 100 responses? An incident was created at 6:11 in the afternoon. So the team was, let's say, leaving the office. There were still people monitoring Slack. 4 minutes later, the teams were engaged. We were able to get a response back in 12 minutes, which was not that bad. 2 hours for the incident resolution, and the postmortem 3 years later is still pending. So that was the kind of situation that we had. The pandemic also grew iFood exponentially. We left from 8 million orders a month to 60 million orders a month during the pandemic. So in Brazil specifically, people were not allowed to leave their homes. All the restaurants were closed. We were just working with food delivery. So people learned how to order food from iFood. iFood was responsible to maintain almost 80% of the restaurants running where they were supposed to be closed, and they were selling through our online platform. So as a technology company, as we call ourselves a technology company, we were failing on the basic ITSM, and we were also failing on the monitoring and observability of our systems. It was basic time to get back to the basics and get rid of silos. So put everyone to work together towards incident resolution. How we did it? So get rid of silos. We first introduced Jira Service Management as our official ITSM tool. So we created a portal where every single person at iFood can create an incident and can report a problem. More than that, our customer experience team, which plays a crucial role being the first level of support, they also use this portal to report incidents whenever the customers are complaining on the first level of support. The second step is we brought everyone together in a consolidated view. So my team was using Jira Service Management. The development teams were using Jira software. We were able to connect everybody. We were able to get all the issues linked. And we were able to say, hey, you know, this feature that you deployed like last week, it generated 10 incidents on production. More than that, we were also able to link the alerts that were coming now from Datadog, and I'm going to talk about our observability journey as well. But we were able to link our alerts with our incidents and our deployments. We were able to start, measuring things and getting key metrics for us to start taking decisions based on numbers and not only on the size of the Slack thread that we were seeing. But the engagement was still an issue, so people were still not monitoring their Slack or their Jira during the night and during weekends. So we created a culture internally that we call autonomy with alignment. All teams are responsible for their services running on production environment. So it doesn't matter if you made a deployment like 1 year ago or a few minutes ago, you are the responsible and if you are the owner of your service running on production. With that culture, we also introduced Ops Genie to be our own duty. And now I can say that the keynote is gone and we are pretty excited to start testing Datadog on call as well. Let's see how that plays out. Ops Genie became our alert manager, the official alert manager at iFood. And just to give you some numbers, we are talking about 30,000 alerts a month. So that means almost 1,000 alerts per day. We used to say that we almost have a Black Friday every day on our lunch window. You can see the order curve. It's like this way. When it gets to 11 a.m., there's a peak. And then at 2 p.m., it gets down again. By 6 or 7, it increases again. And then it goes down about 11 p.m. So we have almost a Black Friday every day. And we need to make sure our services scale on a proper pace. With Ops Genie, we were able to implement an on-duty policy, so every single team that is owner of a service running on production now have appropriate people configured on the on-duty. And the engagement now is not made by Slack or email or whatever. People get phone calls, people get SMS notifications. So they are alerted on a real time, plus they have an escalation policy. So if I page someone, that person does not join the call, in 3 minutes, we escalate that to the manager. So that's the kind of pace we are working now. Basically, we did no rocket science. We just correlated alerts, incidents, problems, postmortems, and their respective action items to keep track of every single thing until the end of the resolution. This was the journey of ITSM that we implemented. So you can see that in almost 3 months, by using the appropriate tools, we were able to connect everything. We were able to create and set the process, and we were able to start collecting results out of that. Observability, I found myself sat in a room seeing everything burning again. And now I'm going to talk about how we introduced Datadog as iFood. We used to have 8 different monitoring tools. So observability is about metrics, is about traces, is about logs. We had that in 8 different monitoring tools, and we decided to consolidate that with Datadog. How did we do it? So again, myself, like just carry it, looking at 8 different tools. There's a lot of selfies of myself here, right? We had a cloud infrastructure running just to monitor our Kubernetes clusters, which was expensive. This is why Julius, I don't know if you guys get a reference, but this is Everybody Hates Chris, and Julius is the guy that does not want to spend any kind of money. So we were spending a lot of money with the infrastructure just to monitor our infrastructure. More than that, we were lacking patterns. So it means that the bomb could explode at any time because every single team was doing a different stuff. Every single team was creating the stuff they thought it was the right way. But we did not follow the best practices. We did not do anything like to consolidate. 88% of the alerts were caused by non-calibrated thresholds. So that was a real issue. Most of the times we called people and say, hey, we just got an alert from your checkout service, for example. They were joining the war room and they were saying, oh, sorry, the threshold was not calibrated, so you can just disregard this alert. So it was generating like overhead on my support team, on those 42 engineers I mentioned you. And this was also generating overhead on the project teams itself because they were being called at 4 or 5, 6 in the morning without need to do so. So we defined our pipelines using infrastructure as code with the help of the Datadog team. We were able to streamline the monitoring and observability process, and we consolidate everything. This is basically the observability journey that we had. So back in 2022, the database reliability team was the first one to use Datadog. They were using Datadog solution to monitor all of the critical databases. And then in December, we decided to start testing different tools. So we tested Datadog, we tested the competitors, and we decided to go with Datadog. In March, we were structuring our migration plan, and also we were structuring our pipelines. In May, we started the migration. So you can see that in only 2 months, we were able to migrate almost 4,000 services from the different tools that they had into Datadog. And now, 2024, we are having discussions about growing the connection we have with Datadog and using different solutions like RUM, like logs, like CI/CD pipelines, and other stuff. So just a summary of the tool set that I presented to you guys. Again, no rocket science, just using the proper tools to do the proper stuff. Our observability platform is Datadog, connected with OpsGenie, which is our alert manager. All the alerts that comes into OpsGenie, they trigger a ticket creation in Jira Service Management, and we can correlate incidents, problems, root cause analysis with the alert itself. And those people right there are the operations team, which means the CX team. And the last one, communication, we are talking about Slack. So Slack is the official tool that we use to communicate internally at iFood. All the things that I showed, like when a postmortem is created, when an incident is created, whatever is created, we share that on Slack as well. And for the main stakeholders, like directors, like VPs, and like the customer experience team, and also our end users, we do have status page available. So you can check the status of iFood if there is a critical incident running, and what is the path of business that is being affected. That's it. Unfortunately, I have to skip the demo due to time limitations. Now, let's talk a bit about results. Again, before we used to have 8 different monitoring tools. I know you guys are wondering, hey, what are those tools? So I won't name them, but you know who they are. Now we have a centralized observability data and a centralized alarm, which is Datadog plus OpsGenie. We spend more time trying to find the evidences on where an incident was happening than resolving the incident itself. There were cases where we were like spending 20 minutes to find evidence and to find log messages and to find APM errors, and like 3 minutes to restart a pod or to do something to resolve the incident. So now we are faster that way. What else? No metrics. We had no visibility about what was going on with alerts, incidents, service requests, problems, postmortem, and action items. And now we have clarity. We can take business and metrics decision just looking for the numbers. We say at iFood that the bad number should be on the wall. You cannot hide that. You can put the bad number on the wall. You need to look for that bad number every single day and improve that. No postmortem investigation, so guys from my team here, I'm still waiting that postmortem from 3 years ago to be ready. Now we have a postmortem documented with action items mapped for every single critical incident that happens at iFood. So we created a lot of procedures, we created a lot of processes, but again, just using the tools that I presented you guys here. No visibility about the incident investigation was also an issue, so we were being pinged on Slack saying, hey, what's going on? What is the expected resolution time for this incident? Where can I get more information about what's happening and what's the business impact? And now we have the status page being updated every 15 minutes. Even if the update is like, we are still working on that and we have no visibility about how to fix it, we provide that information to our customers, which are basically stakeholders, VPs, directors, and the customer experience team. And we were having a really hard time in engaging all of the engineers that owned services running on production. Now we do not have that kind of issue anymore. There are some times that the phone rings and the person is sleeping, so it takes like 2-3 minutes more for the person to join the war room, but that's fine. And we also were able to reduce our response time. I showed the resolution time in the beginning, but the response time, which is also important for you to set expectation, was also reduced. Again, just to reinforce some numbers, 28,000 tickets a month for 42 engineers running on a 24/7 basis. Almost 900 people on duty on rotation plans. So 200 development teams. Every single team has a person on call every day, and they rotate on a weekly basis. So we make sure that we form new people to be part of the on duty as well. almost 3,000 people watching our status pages. So instead of just pinging myself on Slack and I'm, driving crazy, now they have a single source of truth to look and see if we have a critical incident going on or not. The response time I told you, we were an average of 8 minutes. And remember, this number of 8 minutes was just for weekdays. Now we have a single minute of response time, and that happens weekdays, weekends, and during the night. And the great result we had was to reduce from almost 1 hour and a half the impact that we were causing to our customers on production to less than 30 minutes. Today, the average is 24 dot something, and we are aiming to reduce that even more with automation, with runbooks, and with other techniques internally. So that's our journey. Before we go, there is a gratitude moment. I'm able to share this moment with my team. They are seated right over there. So I ask you a big round of applause for that team. And I have 12 minutes left, so I really would like to hear you guys. Any questions, comments, feedbacks, whatever you have. I think there are microphones this way and that way. Are they working?
Yes.
There is a mobile microphone as well.
If you have any questions, yes, you can get up and go to the mics over there.
Hello. So I really want to ask you, how do you deal with false alarms or false alerts? Because I'm assuming with a lot of traffic that is coming into your infrastructure, there must be some continuous alerts which might have a capacity to resolve in itself within like 1 or 2 minutes, and it might create a lot of noise in your system. So how do you deal with false alarms or false alerts?
Great question. So again, we use Jira. Every single alert that is created in Datadog or any of other alert source, they are tagged in Jira. So I know exactly when I have a false alert, if that's caused by a non-calibrated threshold, if that's caused by a service that is running on production but is still not live. So we have tags. What we do with those tags, on a weekly basis, we get in touch with the owners of each one of the services that are causing that kind of alert, and they are supposed to fix that. It's a continuous work, to be honest with you. It's not something we were able to get down to zero yet, but it helped us to decrease a lot of the alerts. So it's mainly sharing numbers and asking the help for the owners of the services. One of the things that I think that helps the most is that culture that we have of owning the service on production. So they know that whenever my team reaches out to them and say, guys, you need to fix this, they go ahead and prioritize and fix that.
So usually false alerts, like they are like prioritized and then they are dealt with later on.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
They are added to the backlog of the team.
Okay.
If there is like a small threshold adjustments, for example, they just go ahead and commit on the observability pipelines, the new threshold. Other than that, if they need to fix the code of the application or a configuration, they add that to their backlogs. And we keep track of that on those weekly reports that we create.
Okay. And one last thing, as you said that you have a status channel on Slack, so you use Jira also for your incident management. So when there is any ticket, tag in Jira, so why don't you use the comment or the discussion board in Jira instead of status channel in Slack?
Everything that happens in Slack goes to Jira and vice versa. So some of the people, they don't like Jira interface, and that's fine. We don't want to, obligate them to use the tool that they don't like. So they just interact with the Slack thread and the comments go to Jira.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering my
sure
questions.
Thing. Thank you.
Hey, I was just wondering, how do you, with thousands of microservices, how do you like map that to status page? Like how do you...
So the status page nowadays, it's not per service, it's per business flow. So we do have 6 different, let's say, business units at iFood: logistics, food delivery, payment, consumer, and all the other stuff. And we try to link the services to that business unit. And when we publish a status update, that's linked to a business flow. The way we do it, we have a CMDB, which is a tool that we developed internally. That CMDB links the business flows with the services, and every single service has an owner, so that's the way we track it.
Are you thinking of using like Compass or like another?
We started to test Compass. The issue we are having right now is integrating those 4,000 services into Compass. They have a limitation about 500 services per import. That's what we are working together with Atlassian to resolve. But yeah, we are going to start using Compass.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Hi. Generally, it's more complicated for a user to report an incident in a ticket as opposed to reporting something in Slack. With your transition, how did you overcome any pushback from people creating incidents?
Right. So internally, the users that are like iFood developers or engineers or whatever the role that they have internally at iFood, they have the ability to create the tickets in Slack as well. So we give both options. You can use just a form in Slack, which is easily, accessible through your mobile device, or you can use Jira interface with the web page with a nice view. For the users that are external, for example, our customer experience team, it's a third-party vendor, and they have more than 4,000 people working on that to just be the first level of support. They use the web interface because they do not have access to Slack at all. So for the people that were complaining about the Jira interface, the way we found easy to resolve that is you have both options. If you like Slack, use Slack. If you like Jira, use Jira.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm a newly minted incident manager as
Nice.
of this year. So postmortems for my company is something we're kind of working through the kinks of.
Are you expecting a postmortem for like 3 years?
Pretty much, yes. We really just started doing them this past month.
Mhm.
However, I'm struggling to make sure that action items after the postmortems get completed. How do you do that process-wise?
So we have, great question, by the way. We have a taxonomy, again, using that CMDB system that we have. We have slugs, which is the taxonomy that we use. Every single slug means a team, and they own their services on production. The way we tie it is I have an incident affects one or multiple services. Those services are tied to that slug, so I know exactly who is the owner of that. Whenever we create action items, they are assignees on that action item. So again, we use Jira. In Jira, we put the name of the manager as the assignee. The incident manager on our side, they play a key role not only during the crisis, but after the crisis. So they are the ones responsible for the governance and to make sure that every action item has a due date. If the due date has come and the action item is still not resolved, they are the ones, fighting with the managers on the other side and say, hey, get this resolved. So that's the way we deal with it.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Hello. I also use Jira Service
Nice.
Manager. I have a really hard time with the dashboard and
Okay.
presenting those metrics. So I was just curious, how are you presenting your metrics to the organization?
Are you a Jira Enterprise or a Jira Premium user?
Uh,
Do you know the kind of subscription you have?
We have premium at least.
Okay. On the enterprise, which is the plan that we have with Atlassian, there is a product called Atlassian Analytics. It's basically a tool, a BI tool for you to use. It's pretty similar to Google Data Studio that now changed the name. I think it's Looker or something like that. You can draw your dashboards and you can perform SQL queries on the Atlassian databases. So basically the way we present those metrics to the company is tying out everything together on those dashboards, and you can make those dashboards publicly available within your email domain or within your network. You have some kind of security levels for you to configure. So the way we figured out to resolve that issue, because I know that the default dashboards, they have kind of a limitation on the metrics that they present. The way we found that was with Atlassian Analytics. But in a past experience that I had, I was able to resolve that using the Google Data Studio. So we created an integration between Jira and a spreadsheet in Google. We created the dashboard in Google Data Studio. Again, now it's called something else, Looker, whatever. And you were able to, get that spreadsheet refreshed every 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, and that reflects on that dashboard. So if you're not willing to upgrade your plan from premium to enterprise, you can just use that Google solution. They also have Redshift. They also have AWS and other cloud databases for you to use. So it might be like a great solution for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any?
I have one question for you. With the number of incidents that you get, is that just internal, or do you also have like another bucket of reports from your end users as well?
So the way it flows internally is basically all the end users. We do not have phone calls for the end users to call. We do not have a phone number. The way they report incidents is they open up iFood app. There is a chat in there, and they create the tickets. This first level of support is responsible to triage those tickets whenever the customer is reporting an issue. They group everything together, and they are the ones that raise tickets to us. So those 28,000 tickets, I'm not talking about end users. If we talk about the first level of support, we are talking about 8 million tickets per day. So that's insane. So the way it flows is basically customer experience team, which plays the first level of support, does the triage, groups everything together, and then it merges to the second level of support, which is part of my team. Good?
Any last question? Okay, thanks a lot, Eugenio. Great
Thanks for being
presentation.
here, guys. Thank you.